Hello, and welcome to the Optimizing Human Potential podcast, Mind, Body, and Soul, brought to you by the Holistic Therapies Directory. I'm Nicole Cruz, super busy mommy coach.
And I am John Kempf, functional strength and nutrition coach.
Today on the show, we have Dr. Larry Martin. Dr. Larry Martin is the founder of NutriOrganic, which performs a unique bionutritional evaluation that can be done by mail. Dr. Larry then uses the results to recommend individualized dietary and nutritional protocols for patients to achieve optimal wellness. He's a doctor of naturopathic medicine, of chiropractic medicine. He earned his Master's of Science in Clinical Nutrition, along with many additional diplomas and certifications. In all, Dr. Larry has been practicing medicine for over 40 years. He also formulates his own specialized nutritional products. Dr. Larry, it is my pleasure to welcome you to the show.
Well, thank you. I'm very glad to be here, Nicole, and I hope some of the information I offer today will help a lot of people.
I'm sure it will. Let's jump in. So you do a bio-nutritional evaluation that includes urine testing and saliva testing. So I can go to my doctor, I can get, I've gotten many, every time I go, they want a urine sample. I've even gotten my saliva tested. What's different and unique about what you do?
All right. The test that we do it's been in an old format for maybe 50, 60 years ago. It was worked on by a friend of mine named Dr. John Crowfoot, who is a naturopath. And what happened, this is a very interesting story. Dr. John was born with uremic poisoning, so that affects the kidneys. His mother had it as well. Well, as years went on and the stress went on, John couldn't practice anymore because he had to have dialysis. Now, Dr. John is an old-time school guy, so he does like an old-time test that's not as up-to-date as what I do, but he still does some of that part of that test, and he's been on dialysis for over 32 years. You realize the shelf life of people that go on dialysis only live to go between 5 and 7 years. He's doing it for 32 years on dialysis and still going strong, and he owes it all to doing his own little testing and keeping his body chemistry balanced.
Wow.
So that's the story of how it all started.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why it's different is this. When you look at a blood test is quantitative, and it measures the levels. And yes, if there is something really wrong with you, an infection, a liver disease, cancer, it's gonna show. But many of the problems that people come in with are what they call functional disorders. They have headaches, they have sinus, they have irritable bowel, stomach problems, skin problems. And basically, the blood work most of the time won't show up anything positive unless it gets to that extent that it becomes a serious disease. So your doctor looks at that, looks at the urine, and says, well, the urine looks clean, there's no blood in the urine. And other than that, they say, well, there's nothing wrong with you. And so people go home, saying, well, I got 42 different symptoms, yet nothing's wrong with me. How can this be? So where this test comes in is it originally started with soil testing many years ago where, the soil is testing soil, for ecology. Well, the soil is like the body chemistry of the body. You test it for calcium, you test it for nitrogen, you test it for potassium and other factors as well. Well, the body works just like the soil, and it's an ecology system. And what we try to do in this test is we look at different parameters such as pH, which is very important, your acid alkalinity. And a good example of that is like your body is like a swimming pool. And people that have pools in ground know that they have to keep the pool water at a certain stability, otherwise they start getting algae and spores. And so you have to check the pH, the calcium, the alkalinity, just as you do in the body. So this is not something new. This is something that has been built on fact for many years, and it's been integrated and updated to get a little more sophisticated. We also look at like cells, how the cells are oxidizing. We look at the nervous system, whether it be overactive or underactive in the nervous system, which stresses the body. So there's various factors that we look at that are a little different to find out. It's not based on symptomatology, it's based on functional body chemistry. What is out of the balance of the body? Put back what the body needs and the body starts to heal itself. And that's where this test overrides a lot of others. Yet again, I'll say you do need basic blood screenings maybe once a year because it can check your cholesterol and your triglycerides and your sugars, and that's okay. But that's just a screening, and that's good to have. But to have other avenues of approach to maintain your health.
That's awesome. And I love the swimming pool analogy because,
Yeah.
when you think of your body, you have an environment there that can either be, it can either be hospitable to bacteria and viruses and things that you don't want, or it could be hostile towards them. And obviously you want to keep your body hostile towards the things that can hurt you. And I absolutely love that analogy.
It's really true because, when I was talking about the acid and the alkalinity and the water, if you look at today, everybody's being afflicted with pathogens and microbes and bacteria and funguses, and it's in everybody's body and everybody.
Mhm.
And when the immune system drops, these things begin to rise and they cause a lot of physical health problems. So modern medicine is, is starting to address some of these things, but you cannot address it with antibiotics because a lot of the problems that we have are viral. And that's why you see, like, for instance, the AIDS virus. Why it's such a hard time getting to control it is it keeps mutating. Genetically, the virus keeps changing. And so every time they come up with a new remedy, it's too late. It's now changed and mutated. It's gone into something else. So we are afflicted probably more with viruses and fungus than we are with anything else. And you wouldn't believe this, but we all think of a virus as like when you get a cold, I had a virus. Believe me, there's hundreds and hundreds of varieties of different viruses that can affect your body. And, the biggest thing has been now Lyme disease, correct? We all see about a lot of people being more prevalent with Lyme. And for years, Lyme was thought about as a bacteria thing being treated with antibiotics. Now they found that Lyme disease is viral.
Wow.
Yeah, and you don't have to be bitten just by a tick. It could be a tick. It could be a mosquito. So it's not just ticks. And we all got bit. You go in the summertime where you live, you get bit by mosquitoes.
Mm-hmm.
So certain mosquitoes can carry certain viruses and certain bacteria and cause problems. Now, also, a lot of these health problems are genetically transferred. This is really interesting. This is my concept now. You take a condition like herpes, okay? And, herpes 2, we get it on the genitalia. And you start to think about if it wasn't through sexual contact transmission, let's say somebody never had sex at all. How do these people all of a sudden at age 45, 50 start getting breakouts? And they never had any sexually transmitted problems before. And I believe that sometimes it can be transferred from mother and father. Let's say a mother or a father was in the war, in Vietnam or in the Second World War. They could have had it, could have been dormant, and it got transferred genetically. And in the tissues, later on gets transferred when they gave birth to you. You then have the disease, yet it's dormant until it comes out later on. So there's a lot of theories about this, but a lot of the problems that come up in the body are not necessarily on contact. It's something that's hereditary or genetic that come about in years to come. I used to call that the ecological theory. It was my own idea. Is sometime in your life, your body is going to break down. There's not many people out there. We're like an ecological time clock. There's a certain amount of time when the body's going to break down and we are going to get a health problem. There's very few people that I think and I know that go through their life that are perfectly healthy. I don't see that anymore.
Yeah, my grandfather actually is a great example. We just lost him a couple months ago, and up until he passed, he had superfood smoothies every morning. He was 77 years old. He put up a fence recently in the yard by himself, was chopping down large trees by himself. The epitome of health, what you would imagine being as healthy as you can in old age, and literally just got a heart attack out of nowhere and just was gone.
I was speaking to a lady yesterday, Paige, and let's do a little twist on what you're saying. She's a woman that was sick for 20 years of her life, been sick, laid in bed, no energy, this and that. Now, here's the catch. She owns a health food store. And in the health food store, she used to cook, the whole foods, the vegetables, the smoothie bars, and they lived their whole life. She never goes out to eat. She cooks every day at home, all organic stuff. So with all the health food stuff and all this stuff, how did she get sick? If health foods, health foods are good, but they're not the total panacea. You think because you're just going to eat healthy, you're not going to get sick. This woman was sick, eating a perfect diet her whole life. And with all the health foods and all the things that she has, she's sick. And I find a lot of people like that. I'll give you, for instance, when I went to school, I was studying to be a doctor. This was years ago. I was a bodybuilder. And I was always like lifting weights and I was drinking, even though milk is not that good anymore, but I was drinking milk and I was eating steaks and eggs right? And yet I was healthy as a horse. And I'd go into school and see all these like guys with the earth shoes, the vegetarians, and they're all vegetarian, eating mung beans and bean sprouts, and all of them are pale, they're anemic, and they all got sinus problems. So you understand how to be. So there's really is just a fine line between what you could be balanced and not balanced. And it really goes back to being the body being balanced. And of course now, as opposed to 30 years ago, we got more stress factors. We got environmental pollution. We have stress is unbelievable. Everybody's trying to make a living or make money or lose money. And it's stressful. There's a lot more marriages and divorces. 1 out of every 2 people are getting divorced today. So there's a lot of hardship and there's traumas. People die in your lives, you know, and you see things visually, and there's a lot of stress and a lot of trauma that affect the immune system and break the body down. And we're finding that a lot of people have what they call PSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. And it's something that they've had, and it affects their physical health. There's problems with PTSD affects the vagus nerve, which is the 10th cranial nerve, and that affects the brain, and the brain starts not functioning, goes on overdrive, and then the gut gets involved because a lot of people have gut issues. The brain and the gut work coherently. One affects the other. If the brain ain't working, it affects the gut. Once the gut goes out of order, your whole body breaks down. So we found that the gut is one of the major premises of why people are getting sick. Gut dysbiosis, bacteria, H. pylori, leaky gut, a lot of things in the gut causing a lot of autoimmune disease. And it's incredible. You know, we're seeing more and more. So now we're taking more routes a little differently in doing PTSD and, you know, cranial nerves and, you know, working with the gut and, you know, using that as a primary thing before we get into secondary things. Now, I have friends that are functional medicine physicians, you know, and they do IVs and all these things, you know, and it's okay, but, you know, IVs like you know, the vitamin shots and things, it's okay, but you got to remember, even with IVs, it's in your system for 24 hours and it's out. So it really takes fine-tuning each individual, because each person has its own body chemistry, has its own environmental stress, its own emotional stress, and so you have to break down each person as an individual, and, you know, and really be a little intuitive as well. The more successful doctors are the ones that are a little more, we don't want to say psychic, but more intuitive. You know, they get feelings, which way to go, what to do. You can't go by logic. And another thing too is it's also experience of your healthcare practitioner. Okay, it has nothing to do with intelligence. The more you're out there in the field, it's like any other job, right? The more you're out there doing it for so many years, the more you see, the more you understand, and the more you understand, the more you know, and the more you can help. So it's all about experience. It's not about intelligence. Everybody comes out of their professions as they think they're the smartest and the greatest and they know everything. And then after you get into it, you find out you don't know half what you thought you know. But after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you become seasoned. It's like a baseball player and athlete. They make better athletes after a couple of years. Doctors, lawyers, it's all the same. It's all based on experience.
No, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, like you said, just having the knowledge, and I think a lot of times it's like it's a skill to even be able to interpret the research findings that are coming out. And a lot of people mistake that part of it. But when you have the experience, you have your own data set within your, you know, within your head, within your gut, because you've been doing it for so long. You actually have the data on paper. And so you have your own data set with, when I try this, it works. But I've done it 50 times. You can create your own, you know, critical mass. And if you wanted to, you could create your own bell curve. And so, like,
well, you know,
I agree.
It's also like people that, you know, you listen to them speak about their problems. We had a lady yesterday, it was kind of interesting. We were just talking to her on a Zoom. And she was talking about she had some like pain in her right side, but gas and flatulence, right? And then, so somebody else was doing a takeoff on her, what's wrong? And I just sat there and then I said to her, I think you got gallbladder problems. Just comes to me intuitively. You got either gallstones or real gallbladder problems. She almost turned white. I said, does your family have that problem? Yes, my mother had gallbladder taken out. My grandma had my gallbladder taken out. Is that funny? So
wow.
next week, I told her we'll get an ultrasound of your gallbladder, what's what. So part of it is intuitive. You know, you just kind of get little vibrations and feelings, you know, plus you have the knowledge to gear you in a certain area, where to go. And usually it works out pretty good. It's called KISS. You heard that? Keep it simple, stupid. Don't get too complicated. Keep to the basics. And if you keep to the basics, you don't let all these symptoms complicate you. Just keep it simple. And usually you find the answer. And I'll give you one example. Someone comes in and has right elbow pain, right? Their right elbow hurts. You're treating the elbow. But you know what? That's symbolic of either gallbladder or liver problem.
Wow.
We still got you, Doc?
Dr. Larry, you there? It might just be a poor connection. I still see him, his box there.
Yeah, pain site, pain source, though. We were talking about that on one of our previous episodes, you know.
Mm.
Always following the cookie crumbs.
Mm-hmm. No, it's awesome. This is gold. I can't wait to get him back on here.
Oh no.
No, we lost him.
We'll give him a little logs back on. Maybe it's just like an internet thing or something. Well, this is great. I can't wait to get into more specifics about the different types of pathways and stuff that he's looking for when he does his test. Because just for your guys' information, I actually signed up with the nutritional evaluation myself, and he sends you the kit in the mail, and you essentially just pee in a cup and spit in another cup. He gives you 2 test tubes, and you put them in a little freezer pack and then express mail it back to him, and then he runs it through the testing in his lab and gets all the results for you. It's a really, really simple process, and it's ridiculously cheap considering the kind of information that you're getting access to. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that you can make huge adjustments to in your diet. And like Dr. Larry, I myself compete in bodybuilding and lift weights all the time. So we're going to try to see how we can optimize my performance by making different tweaks to my diet depending on what the results come back saying. So he actually has them right now. They just got to him yesterday, I believe. So he's going to run them through the lab this weekend, and he's going to get back to me next week with the data. So I'm really excited, but super simple process. You essentially just cut out any supplements or any like extra stuff that you're taking other than your food for 24 hours. So I didn't take any multivitamin or my greens powder or protein powder for the day before. And then the day of, you eat a meal, and then you urinate 1 to 2 hours after the meal into the sample little jar, and then you pour that into the little test vial that he gives you, and then you just spit into the other one, throw it in the freezer, and then he has a little freezer pack that comes with it, and then you just put them all together in the box and ship it out express. And that's that. It's a really simple process. And he's got a little survey questionnaire form that goes along with it where you fill out some of your background information about age and supplements that you're taking and any previous conditions that you have, so that way he gets a little bit more background information about you and some of the stuff you're dealing with or have dealt with before, and then he can use that information to pair up with the data that he gets from the testing, and then that gives him a little bit better idea. Like he was saying, using his experience, using that data, he's able to come up with some solutions as to why the test results may have showed what they did, and then he gives really good recommendations too. I've already been talking to him. I have a yeast condition on my skin. It's from excess heat and sweat and moisture. And it's really common in a lot of humid areas. I do a ton of hot yoga and I work out like an ape. So it's pretty common for the yeast to overgrow. And so he was already sharing with me some strategies on how to change my diet a little bit by cutting out fruits and caffeine. And so I'm making a few changes here and there to mess with that. And I'm really curious to see how it works. I can't wait to get the test results back from him, which is going to be probably, this weekend or next week. We'll find out. So it's really easy, though. I'd highly encourage everybody to check it out. Nutriorgana, and it's a really simple test and gives you really, really good quality information about your state physiology, and then that information can help you change your diet and optimize your health and performance. Nicole is on the horn with him right now. He, I think, is having some technical difficulties, so we are just gonna hold off right now. We're on standby.
Yeah, I have him here. He's He's working on, a little internet issue, and he's working on getting back with us as soon as possible. Yeah, he's diagnosing the problem right now, he said. Okay. Okay,
Sorry.
sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. Give me a call back if you have any other issues, okay? Got him on speaker now. He's doing something. We should have him in a minute.
How we doing, Doc?
I think he put the phone down.
Okay.
Real life here.
We already had technical difficulties prior to this. We had to switch from my laptop. My webcam wouldn't work for some reason, so on my cell phone right now. Hopefully you guys can still get good video audio on my end.
Yeah, you look great. You sound great. You just have that thing where, when you get close to the phone camera, it like warps your face, like that fishbowl effect.
Yeah.
There we go. That's it.
Classic.
Mm-hmm.
I was just giving a little rundown on the test myself. I want to know myself. I'd like to know more, and that's what I'm excited to talk to him with, is like what kind of specific biochemistry analysis that comes up from this, like you were saying, the pH and stuff, like how does he get those measures, and what other kind of information the analysis brings up. It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. No, I love it. I also want to hear about his book.
Yeah. I've been emailing him back and forth, bugging him already, like, hey, send me anything you got. Any information, I'll eat it up.
Yeah, no, it's exciting stuff. I
Yes,
can't wait to do the follow-up episode after you've already implemented what he gave you, and we can talk about it. And we definitely can't do a follow-up episode until you've implemented it.
Yeah, the hardest part, he said, though, one of the things that I gotta cut down on that feeds yeast is caffeine. I was like, oh, that's tough. Doc,
I see two of you.
Yeah, hold on a minute.
Oh, there we go.
Stereo. You see me? I got to get on this thing. I don't know what's going on. Hold on. Why is this? You see me still?
Yeah, you're there. We got you.
You want to close all tabs? No. There's a million tabs open. This is a different computer.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
Okay, you're there.
That's
all right, good.
Deal.
Yeah. Now can you see me? Yes. Hold on.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm on another room and another computer, so I just have to start. Okay, there I am. How's that?
Yeah, great.
It's as good as it gets. All right, let's go. I was on a roll too.
Yeah, let's go. Well, I mean, John brought up a good question.
Yeah.
You want to get into it, John? Were you going to ask me about the testing? I loved it.
Yeah, just because you know how excited I am to hear back from you. I've been bugging you already the last few days.
Oh, I know.
Just go into it a little bit about the test itself and kind of like what's getting analyzed and how you're making this analysis and what kind of information you can glean from that and like what conclusions that brings you to, just so people kind of have an idea of what's getting tested and how they can benefit from that information.
Okay, I'll give you somewhat of a description. I can't give you my proprietary secrets.
Fair enough.
So here's how it works. First of all, when people do this test, they get a sheet. You filled out that sheet, John, and they ask you different problems, basic things. And then I said, if there's anything extra, just, put it on the back. So they write a whole little history about themselves. So I can see if it's something genetic, something hereditary, the background. All right. Then also, it tells me, of course, your age and things like that. Now, when I do the test is done with meters. So it's not like a dipstick. There's different meters. that read different things, like pH meters that read the pH. For your like conductivity of the salts, it's a meter for salt meter. There's a carbohydrate meter that shows about sugars, so it shows me exactly in digital numbers what they are. There's meters for what they call RH factors, which is like it tells you if you have fat, if you have like free radicals, and the meters also tell you if there is what was that other thing? It tells you if it has the cellular oxidation, if the immune system is stressed. So we use different meters to give you the numeric numbers. Okay, but that's just numeric numbers. Now, we give you back like a sheet that will show the different values, what's normal and what's not normal.
Cool.
And then what we'll do is, then after we have paragraphs that you'll get, and you're going to get one this weekend. And in the report, anything that's positive, okay, either too high or too low, there'll be an explanation, a paragraph about why it's high or why it's low, what your system is doing that's make it that way. So you'll have a clear cut of understanding why your body is undergoing what it's undergoing, okay? Mm-hmm. So after we do all of that, then what I do is, there's things about testing your kidney, it's testing your ammonia, it tests your protein levels. We find also a lot of people have very poor protein absorption problems. Now I know, John, you mentioned how, you're into the bodybuilding, and I did it for years. I could blow you away. The things I used to go to all those shows with the, with the international IFBB shows in Brooklyn, New York, and I did it all. But
I knew anyway, I heard a New York accent.
Yeah, I know, but I've been in Florida for a long time. I've been trying to change it, but it just doesn't work. I'm coming to New York Wednesday.
Oh, sweet. You'll have to let me know when you're here.
13 years I haven't been there. I'm going to go visit my brother, give him a break.
Wow, nice.
But anyway, to get back to the test, so after I get all these numbers, they're just numbers. They tell you highs and lows. And okay, now here comes where it comes in. Then I have to take those numbers, you put it into the chart, and then I see the body cells, see the organ stresses, the liver, the kidney, the bladder, the colon, it'll tell me from those numbers where the stresses are in the body. Now, this is the proprietary thing. That's all the test is going to do. I have to take all those values, put it into your lifestyle, your diet, your age, and I have to look at what the health problems may be, the ailments, and then I have to applicate the certain protocols to make those corrections to balance that value. Now, if you have, for instance, low carbohydrates or high carbohydrate, let's say low carbohydrate, that tells me that you're getting a lot of low blood sugar reactions. Your body's metabolizing carbs too quickly, they're dropping, and you get what they call a simulated hypoglycemia, the fatigue, the body aches, memory fog, things like that. For you, I may give one remedy, but based on the chemistry of the other values I see, for the same exact problem, someone may get a different remedy. So it's not canned. Not everybody that has low blood sugar gets the same thing, or high blood sugar, or protein, or calcium, or for pH. It's all very different based on the individual. That's where I come in. Some of it is also from experience and being intuitive that I'm going, now you, John, I don't want to bring it up. You had a particular problem, Okay, and so I already figured it out. Exactly.
I actually addressed it. I brought it up when you were off. I was talking about it. I didn't go into, but yeah, the yeast on the skin.
Okay, now the yeast on the skin, then I could talk about it a little bit. I haven't really investigated it, but here's how it goes. I gave you that little sheet about avoiding yeast. Okay, people that get that skin fungus, the little white and dark thing, sometimes it's caused from the sun. The sun beats down on the skin and it causes a reaction and it forms a fungus, okay, on the skin. But I truly believe that not everybody that goes in the sun gets that skin fungus, right? So what is it? I personally believe you got some yeast in you. You got yeast, okay, and it's very prevalent. I'll tell you how you can tell. Every person, I'm sure every man in his life had crotch rot or, tinea cruis. They get the little rash in the groin once in a while from sweating. And you get, you die and you itch. And okay. And then you get some Lotrimin cream. Okay. You don't get it every day, but once in a while. Women have vaginal problems. But yeast also doesn't just affect those areas. It affects the respiratory tract. It affects the GI tract. So you have, I don't want to put a label right now until I do it and say you have candida. But it's possible. So what I have to say is, well, John has this skin problem, so we have to give him something topical. We got to give him something internal, because the topical will help it clear it up, but it's not until we correct the internal we don't get it back. Okay, so I'm going to come up with a protocol for you. If it is the yeast, I have to make sure, well, I'm going to give you something very specific to kill the yeast. Okay, and it's not a drug, it's something natural, and it's not caprylic acid, it's something you've probably never seen. One of the things they use is a double bonded chlorine, because think about this, in a swimming pool, when you have algae, what do you put in there? Chlorine. And it clears it up. So we're going to do some type of chlorine derivative, natural, to clear up the yeast. I don't know what else it is yet. I have to make sure there's no secondary problems. I haven't really analyzed your test yet. I only thought about the problem when you presented it on the sheet. That was the first thing that came to me, is the yeast. So usually I'm never wrong. So we'll just pursue that, and I'll see. You're pretty healthy, yeah, but I have to look at your organs, and there's still one or two. I've had one or two positive findings in the test that I have to look at that came up, but we'll see what else is more. I go very deeply into it. I'll try to rule out pathogens and microbes and bacteria and parasites. Do you have any dogs or cats?
I don't. No, not now.
Right. Okay, that's great, because usually people that have dogs and cats usually carry parasites, because the animals carry them and they kiss and hug their animals. So I always try to people that they should give them like a little herbal parasite cleanse all the time, so it keeps the saturation load down. But you're not dying, don't worry. But I'll find out some other things you may have that may not know about right now. So I'm going to give you something to make your body very healthy. See, the thing is too is when you're dealing with immune systems, everybody wants to strengthen their immune system. Sometimes you have to stabilize the body first before you strengthen the immune system. It's just like years ago, everybody was detoxing, detox, and everybody was getting sick. Because if your body's unstable and it's in a sick phase, you don't go in and detox it. They're going to get sicker. You first go in and stabilize it and strengthen it before you start to do those. Like if you had heavy metals, I would chelate you, but after you're stable, then we would remove the heavy metals. So that's how I work. Okay, I have like a format to do to it. So that's some of the things. And then with the bionutritional eval, you'll get protocols and nutritional recommendations. If there's dietary things that I'm going to tell you, I may send you different diets, different diets of foods to avoid or certain things to do that'll help you along, to achieve your goal. And that's it. And with the urine saliva test, like anything else, it's called maintenance. What we mean by that is so many people are taking vitamins and minerals, they don't even know why they're taking what they're taking. They're not working. What's good for one is not necessarily good for the other. You hear that quote? So what's good for Nicole may not be good for John. And so you have to be very specialized in giving specifics to get a good reaction. Again, is the biggest problem we find today is people wanting to maintain their health. And here's how it goes. People will go and do my test. They start feeling better. And you know what happens? They just phase away. And you don't hear about it. And they never refill the nutrition. And here's another thing. You don't take the same nutrition for the rest of your life. If I give you the test and I tell you, hey, do this for 3 months, retest. Things are going to change, and some of the protocols are going to change. After you do my test 2-3 times, then maybe twice a year, you do your test because you need. It's like doing the blood work. You got to keep maintenance because your system is constantly changing. It's aging. You have stress factors, environmental factors, food factors, and we have to keep abreast of that. So this way, I always know what's going on in your system, and you can always come to me and say, "Hey, Dr. Larry, you know what happened to me today? I got this little problem. Let me look into it." But I know, I know where your chemistry's at. So it could be a little minor problem that you can correct before it gets to a big problem. And so the biggest problem of today, and people are trying, they're exercising, they're eating, trying to eat right. I don't know how many of them are really controlling the emotional thing. That's a big part of it. Some of them don't even have a spiritual attachment to anything. There's got to be a little spirituality. People do go to temples and churches, but do they go because of the spirituality, or they go because it makes them they think they're a better person? There's got to be some type of, you know what I'm saying? You got to be some type of spiritual connection upstairs on a daily basis. And you have to do some type of yoga or meditation, something to bring you back whole, from you to the universe and back to make you stable and grounded. And if you don't do that, your body's going to fly off the deep end again. And people just, too busy, the only time they really do it is when they're really sick. When they're really sick, they'll do everything. I say, oh, they'll do everything. Please help me. But who knows? And 6 months later, I may never hear from them again. And 2 years later, they call you up. Oh, I'm sick again. Can you help me? Pretty frustrating. I'll give you one more story. 35, 40 years ago, I was doing holistic medicine, chiropractic. A man was came to my office on a stretcher. He couldn't walk. I kept him there for 5 hours in my office, and I worked on him like every hour with therapies and different things, right? And he walked out. After 5 hours, he walked out, no pain. He was fine. I said, it'd be a good idea because you have like your degenerating discs and things like that to stabilize and maintain yourself. I said, you should come back like once every 3-4 weeks because of the type of work you do, and this is what you have to do. He came back like 1 month, a second month, and guess what? Never heard from him again. A year later, guess what happened? Who comes through my door on the stretcher again? It's kind of like stupidity, you know. Now, I understand it better now. I never could. I used to get really like peed off at this because I really try to help somebody and work so hard to get you better, and you sabotage what I do. But now I understand the psyche. Just people are just generally lazy by nature, and anything that takes constant work, they don't want to do. That's what it is. They just going to shy away. And it's the same thing with being successful, okay? It's all hand in hand. It's health, it's spirituality, it's finance. There's a whole balance between them. And I work with people sometimes too on increasing their wealth and how to do it. You know, it's not being manipulated with money as it is what you manifest in your mind. You know, and you have to really believe what you manifest, you know, and really believe in it. And there's a lot of spirituality and things with the universe. And, you know, when I talk about spirituality and the universe, I talk about the universe is the energy that's out there, okay? And we all draw from that energy. We draw what we call innate energy. And that's the energy that lives within inside. You may call it the soul. But that innate draws from the universal, from the energy from the universe. You could call it God. You could call it whatever you want. But that's what you have to be in touch with, okay? And you have to do that on a daily basis. And a lot of people are too busy to do anything. But then again, let's do a little twist. How about the guy that drives a tractor trailer and he drives, you know, cross country and he eats subs and he drinks beer and he smokes cigarettes and he lives to be 98? Go figure that one out. Only thing I can think about is very strong genetics, correct? Yeah. Genetically, he's real strong. But and everybody else is getting sick and they're trying their best to stay healthy. So, you know, you can't really put your finger on 100%. But all you can do is try your best to be healthy, you know, and happy and be passionate. And another thing is being passionate about what you're doing in life. It's very important. It's not about money. It's about passion. You have to enjoy what you're doing in life. Whatever your profession is, I don't care if you like painting buildings. It really doesn't matter. If you're happy about that and you enjoy it, then that's going to keep you healthy. So passion, and people have lost passion in their life. People are doing things because they have to do it, not because they want to do it. All right, anything else? I can go on.
Your book, Dr. Larry, your book.
Oh, yeah, okay. I wrote a book. It's taken me a while. It's called The Magic of Healing. And it's a very interesting book because it's not all about vitamins and minerals and diets and disease, okay? It touches a little bit on my testing, but it talks about spirituality. It talks about emotional things. And we go very deep into the emotional manifestations of things. The book is beautiful. It has a lot of little cliches, has some comedy in it, because one of the chapters is called Laughter is Your Best Medicine. And I used to be a professional magician. I forgot to put that in my resume, but it
wasn't there actually. I wanted to know about that.
Oh, I figured that. But anyway, so we put laughter as your best medicine because we know when you laugh, it increases endorphins and ketones. It's a very healthy thing. I got you laughing now. Maybe the next one we'll do on is Dr. Larry's Comedy Hour. But the point is, the book entails a lot of things how to better your life. Eventually, we're coming up with Create Your Own Life. We're going to make seminars called Creating Your Own Life. And it's going to be really something on really touching, making that person just take off. You know, it's not going to be like a seminar where just hurrah, you know, get you all motivated, and then you're motivated for 3 days, you come home, and then you drop. This is going to be really how to create the perfect life for each individual. And these factors I talked about, all of them are going to be discussed, and it's going to be quite unusual. So the book does touch on all of those things, and it talks about gratitude. There's so many different factors, and you're going to love the graphics we did in it. You know, a lot of them are comical. Some of them are pretty bizarre, crazy stuff. But we want people to really enjoy it, not be bored, to really enjoy reading it and really learning from it, and you know, getting really something out of it. And I think they will.
That's great. That's awesome. So how can people learn more about you and find out when your book is released? Where can we
Well, here's
find
the
you?
thing, that guy named John, who we have in the background, when he spoke to me the first day, he says, I'm coming to Florida. He says, I'm living in your house. He said, I got to learn everything you know. But I'm not teaching it, so forget it. I don't even know if I remember what I know. Half of it is intuitive. It just comes when you need it. The book is being, well, we edited. It's the second editing. And then we're going to do some final changes. I put in some, like, famous quotes from famous people, to get the points across. And I have a friend of mine. He's an old guy. He used to be like doing commercials for Kellogg's cornflakes, and all those things. He's really good at like those funny sayings from the old days. So I'm going to put some of those funny cliches and sayings in the book to get the points across, and some more graphics. I want a lot of graphics in the book. I don't want it just to be word after word. I want graphics. And remember, a word is a graphic, a picture is worth 1,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think probably maybe within the next 2 months it should be ready, and then I'm going to give it to the publisher, and Jock's helping me, and let them take from there. The funny thing is, you write a book, and really people write a book for credibility factors, right? Well, that's what we're doing. I just wrote the book to teach people. But wouldn't that be interesting if it becomes a bestseller? It could be crazy. I don't expect it to, but you know what? It could really do it.
That would be
really
awesome.
funny. I know. Then there may be a follow-up book in Creating Your Perfect Life. And I like it. I read it, and I wrote it. And I had my other half, Tina. She helped, with some things. She's pretty good. She keeps me on track. And it's a really exciting book. You're gonna learn a lot of things. Some of it you already know. And I look at it like this. You're intelligent people, and a lot of intelligent people out there. I don't know why I'm coughing. But I look at it like this. Whether you read a book or whether you go to a seminar, if you only learn 10%, if you pick up 10% new things from a book or a seminar, that could change your life.
That's huge. Yeah, that's
huge.
One sentence,
One sentence, right? One word could change your life, make you think a certain way, and just you do a 360 and become a totally different person and take off in a positive direction. That's exactly what you try to do in the book, is give a lot of info and give a lot of informative things, get people thinking. And you're going to touch something, and you're going to touch their hearts, one point or the other. And once you touch the heart, that heart chakra, they're going to get it, and they're going to go in their own direction, and they're going to take off. And that's probably more than making money with a book or anything. And so you can really change people's lives and make it better. I mean, what else could be better than seeing people coming to me and saying, hey, Dr. Larry, I read your book, I went to your seminar, and I just feel fantastic. You changed my life. I mean, holy crap. What could be better than that? Or you changed my health. I get that all the time with the health thing, where they call me and they say, oh, I've been doing your program, and I feel it's only been 3 weeks. I feel so much better. I can't believe I've been sick for 10 years. So that I'm used to, so I'm kind of numb to that. So I'm used to getting that. But when I do the book or a seminar, that'll be a different hype for me. And I think I'm really going to enjoy the people that I really help out there.
That's great. So if people want to keep in touch with you somehow, like, do you have social media? Do you have a website? Where can they find out? Where can they be kept up to date with everything that you're doing and when your book is released?
I think I have. You have the Facebook links,
we're going to put everything in the show notes.
I have Facebook.
Tell people who
I
are just
Facebook.
listening.
I'm not a big Facebook advocate. Everybody's on Facebook, day in and day out, and I don't. I am going to start it's going to be a radio show, a podcast. I'll have to let you know. Jock and I are going to do it once a week, and we're going to speak about different things. They can go to, if they want to email me, just to speak to me, ask questions, they can go to my email address at drlarrydirect. That's drlarrydirect@gmail.com. Or they can go to my site. From my site is just about a couple of products that has some interesting information. It's nutraorgana.com, nutraorgana.com. And that'll show you some of the things that I made, some of the products that I perfected. And it has some information as well. I don't spend all day on sites, and I'm not on the internet all day, but I do answer my emails. And if you have any questions, anything I can help you with, then I'd be glad to help.
Awesome. And then the question I'm sure everybody wants answered. For all of us who are now super interested in getting your bionutritional evaluation, how do we get started?
It's a very easy thing. You can email me. You can email me your name, and then I'll email you back, and then I'll give you the protocol. Basically, it's very simple. You'll give me a name and your address, and I'll mail you a test kit. And you take the test kit and you give samples of the urine and the saliva, and it comes with a freezer pack and directions, and then you just send it back to me. And then actually I have all your information. Then I'll sit and read everything, do the test, and after it's done, I'll send you an email with the test results. And then in the email, I'll say, when would be a good time for us to have a consultation? And we'll go over the test. And I'm not charging for that. I just do that to make you understand what's wrong, why we're doing what we're doing. So people will follow it a lot better if they understand why they have what they have and what we're trying to do to achieve. They feel very comfortable with those answers. And that's it. And then you take off. If they have a few questions, they can ask him. Sometimes I tell them, if you have any questions down the road or a week, just send me an email. I look at my emails 3-4 times a day. I'll answer your question. If you're confused about something or you have an idea, just explore. I'll explore it with you. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I love how personal it is. Like, I love that I'll be contacting you, not some like faceless organization.
You have to be.
You
have to be personal with people because everybody you meet is a one-on-one, and they have to have confidence in you, and they have to have what the word is T, trust. They have to trust you. You're dealing with that. So if they trust you, and the only way they're going to trust you is by speaking with you and hear the sincerity and the compassion that you have, and just by talking. John did it when he heard me the first time. We weren't even talking about that. But he said, I got to call this guy. This guy, I want to do it. He was motivated about doing it because he felt this was the right thing to do. And usually that's what people do. I also do, which is interesting, I do a voice. It's called a voice biofeedback technology. And what it is a little tablet I have. It's really interesting. And people will talk into the phone. And I'll give them to say, I give them ahead of time, like vowels and the alphabet, and it picks up voice recognition of your frequencies from your voice. Because in your voice has a resonant frequency. It's like a piano key that when you hit a piano, it resonates at a certain frequency. And what it does is it'll pick up the imbalances of frequencies in your body and relate them to nutrition, relate them to organ stresses, and relate them even to some of the health problems that you're having. So it gives me guidelines on where you're headed and what you got going on. So it's kind of, and I don't charge for that. I do that if they want it, if they're going to do the test, I'll let them do the voice analysis. And then I'll just send them a little email even before they get the test, showing some of the possibilities of where the body's under duress. It's really neat, pretty accurate.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Voice analysis is, look, they do it for lie detectors, right? They'll hook you up, and when you speak a lie, it picks up your skin temperature change. Well, the voice has frequencies, and everything resonates at a frequency. So, for instance, if your liver is resonating at a frequency of, I'm making this up, 655 hertz, that's the cycle. If the liver's only resonating at 500 hertz, that means your liver's not functioning at 100%. So it starts to get problems. So by doing this voicing, it'll pick up the frequencies that are unbalanced in the system, and it puts it into a computer program, and then it assesses and it knows what parts of the body are out of balance. It's pretty neat.
Wow. Yeah. That's cutting edge right there.
I know, that's 26th century.
Well, I hope you're ready to hire someone to read all the emails you're about to get about this.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of. I know.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Your inbox is about to blow up, Dr. Larry. Well,
an email is quick because they actually answer it and that's it. I mean, I'm not going to give them back the Gettysburg Address, and if they give me the Gettysburg Address, I'm not reading it. So if you do an email, make it short and concise. Ask your question, get your point across. It could be anything: physical, emotional, spiritual. I have other counterparts, another counterpart team that's very, spiritual with Akashic records and Akashic record reading. She does a lot of intuitive stuff herself. Very gifted person. So, we can give you some insight in a lot of things.
Thank you, Dr.
Okay.
Dr. Larry. Thank you so much. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for being here.
And I enjoyed the conversation with you and John, and I look forward to meeting you both.
Absolutely.
Okay.
For all of you listening, thank you so much for joining us. If you would like to learn more about optimizing your potential, be sure to subscribe to hear more from professionals in health, fitness, everything you can imagine, such as Dr. Larry. And if you would like to support the show, it would mean the world to us if you would take a moment to leave a rating and review. I'm Nicole Cruz, super busy mommy coach.
I'm John Kemp, functional strength and nutrition coach. Thanks so much, guys.
And we'll see you next time on Optimizing Human Potential, Mind, Body, and Soul, brought to you by the Holistic Therapies Directory.
Thanks again, Dr. Larry. Take care, man.
Bye.
Thank you. I'll be in touch. Have a good evening.
You too.
Okay.
you.